My name is Timothy Graham, mechanical architect for Dell and for Alienware, and we handle precision and Optiplex and Inspiron desktops and all-in-ones. Was also a lead architect for Alienware notebooks for about 6 years before switching to the desktop team. The most recent successful product that we launched that was my first project on the desktop team was Aurora R11 that's been getting a lot of awards, a lot of good press. So I'm pretty proud of that one.
Well, thank you, Tim, for being here. I'm super excited. And as we shared about Liberate, we really want to get a chance to hear from all lens. Tell me a little bit more, I guess, for you, both personally and from the work that you do, why making sure we think about accessibility for all, and especially for the disability on technology is important for you. And what's the lens that worries you and excites you?
Yeah. It started with me, I guess about 5 years ago. I started having symptoms that I didn't really know what they were, and went through a lot of different doctors, and it took a long time. It took 3 or 4 years to even get to a neurologist that suggested it may be Parkinson's or essential tremor, something along those lines. And during that time, my symptoms were continuing to progress, and especially over the last 2 years, I noticed just how much it was impacting my daily life and how it was changing that I interact with tech products across the board, especially with our products, and that I need on a daily basis to do my job. So my typing has become more difficult, and using a touch pad, a mouse pad, just a mouse, texting, taking pictures of, just around the house or of products that I need to communicate for competitive analysis. And also in gaming, and it just bought a new computer last summer for my son when they were working from home, and he's a big time gamer. And I noticed when I was trying to game with him how much more difficult it had become, and I started thinking, like, what can I do? Initially it was like selfish, like, man, how can I make my job easier? Like, this is a struggle. So I asked my manager, I said, what would you think about getting our team together and like brainstorming on ideas of way to increase or change the usability of our products to increase accessibility for people with different abilities or disabilities. I wondered, especially in the gaming space, having worked so long for Alienware, how many people are out there that have decreasing mobility, that are having trouble staying part of the gaming community, or already have much greater decline in fine motor control, that want to get into gaming, but they feel that they can't. And as I started seeking different products, I just wasn't finding anything. There are a couple of pretty high profile products for severely disabled, and which are fantastic products. So I started looking at how those were created and wondering how we can, accomplish some of the same things, with the goal of not just targeting towards people with different abilities, but increasing the usability for all, making it easier for everyone globally, for all of our users, not just people like me that are just now starting to decline at a fairly young age to have Parkinson's. I'm just now 50 years old to really see this kind of progression over the last year. And, how do we, how do we make a change? What can we do? Let's just brainstorm and get together and see what we'll come up with. Obviously my manager and my team, just really respond to that really well, and we're really excited. Man, this is a great idea. This is a great time. We believe globally there's a big need for this, that there's just a lack, a lack of serious focus to encourage accessibility and enablement, and provide gaming access to all, and computer access to all of the different genres of different abilities as well, vision impaired and hearing impaired and mobility impaired. So then we contacted an ERG group inside Dell, True Ability ERG group, and that has led to a ton of great connections and great opportunities there. So out of that, my passion for this just grows more every day, and realizing what a great time this is, what a necessary time this is globally, to make sure that we impact product design in any way that we can across the board for all users, not just users with different abilities. So obviously it's very personal to me, and the more I reach out, the more stories I hear of employees at Dell and that have family members and people outside of Dell as well, that they're just really, really needing something like this right now, like emotionally as well, that it's just the right time. And we're very, very passionate about doing everything we can, using every connection we can, every avenue, every path to impact product design in the future. We're really, really excited about it.
Thank you for sharing, and also how you got to be more passionate, and what you've done to make sure that this is actually not just a small project but something that is company-wide initiative. Tell me a little bit more, I guess, from general, as you've kind of highlighted how much surprise and reminders you're getting from the stories and experience that you are finding from different colleagues, different conversations. For somebody who might be still learning about, how big of a gap this is, or like, why this is important, are there some stats or story examples that you'll be willing to share, that maybe for somebody who's still learning about why this is something that we should take more seriously, and then recognize, oh wow, I did not realize, and how it's kind of giving them a better picture?
Yeah, there are a few simple things that I hadn't noticed as well. Simple things like, how on the keyboard you have the little ridges on your keys, like your home row position, so you can feel where they are. Over the years, similar features on the keys have been removed from the volume function keys, and the visually impaired have discussed this internally with our TrueAbility group. So now when I'm in a meeting, and if something happens with my computer and I'm too loud or I'm getting reverb, I can't feel where to turn it down or to mute or to stop what's going on. And I feel totally cut off and cut out from the conversation. And something as simple as this may have been an aesthetic change, like usability or just aesthetic desire. We want a clean, smooth look. And that has led to totally excluding the visually impaired from being able to interact in these conversations. And I've seen how emotional that some of these stories are, and something so little, so seemingly insignificant, can have such a big impact. That one was really eye-opening. Another great example was speaking with this directing professor at the Texas Institute of Research and Rehabilitation in Houston. Phenomenal, outstanding guy, also disabled, in a wheelchair, some limited use of his hands. And a simple statement from him was that, I just wish that, I'm looking down at my computer, I just wish that all of the IO, the inputs and outputs, the connectors that are in the rear of the system were just in the front. I can't physically get behind my desk to plug all of this in, to unplug my monitor, anything. Something simple as, we want to hide all of the ugly connectors in the rear, make the front of the system sleek, and make a statement, and have a limited amount of IO in the front. That again is cutting out a big group of people that we weren't intentionally disregarding, but we had something else in mind at the time. So another big avenue that could lead to either a different branch of products, or simply modifying all products for the future to hopefully dictate that there are variations, always variations, that whenever counting inadvertently, discounting any certain group. Another similar but seemingly small aspect is simply the spacing or the location of the IO. And I've heard this a lot myself. I've encountered this, and a lot of others, is something as simple as the power button. It's always very flush and small, or recessed, and it's more difficult to interact with. But the input and output on the front of a desktop, very small, very closely spaced, if I have something small like a flash key, a USB flash key, it's very hard to get it in the connector, the first time. Is it first or second or third? And I'll drop it and then I'll have to pick it up again. Or if it's a small, the communication device for like a wireless mouse or touchpad, something very simple like that, where there's not enough lead in or the proper spacing for someone with decreased mobility to interact with. So I've heard a lot of stories like that have had a big impact on me in the way I view all of our products, competitor products as well, just tech products across the board. Something as simple as opening my notebook. And I worked on notebooks for a long time, so I understand the rationality and having this clean external look whenever it's closed. But it's so tight and it's such a small surface, it's very, very hard for me to open my notebook. So I tend not to. So I'm much more likely to damage it when I'm walking around with it around the house or up and down the stairs. If I drop it when it's open, I might really damage it, compared to, we test it in the closed position when we're going through all of our shock and vibe testing in the development process. We don't test it open, because nobody drops it open. Nobody carries it around when it's open. But I find that I've had to do that. So again, the intentional removal of any ridges or protrusions or recesses that would allow me, purchase to really open my system easily, have over the years have been evolved out of products, and I've seen that change as well. So a few things like that have had a really big impact on me and the way I view products. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those stories and examples, which I think many would be able to relate. And wow, a powerful reminder, because we often see from one lens, we never get to
Mhm.
understand and learn about the others. I'm curious because in your case, you were both an end user and the builder. What are technologies that are already being effectively developed that you feel like, hey, we've done a good job trying to be as accessible, and while it's not still perfect, we've done better at ABC or XYZ approaches? And what are areas that you still feel like is falling short, either in the design or the development, especially as you see out from the end user? So what's happening well, what's not happening well?
I think we've done a very good job a few years ago when we started integrating eye tracking hardware into our gaming systems. I think that opened up a lot of avenues and opportunities, not specifically for people with different abilities, but I think that has helped quite a bit. It helps me. I use that on a daily basis when that wasn't necessarily its original intention, but I think our VP at the time did a very good job of really stressing the importance of that technology and seeing that we integrated it in all of our gaming systems since then. And this was maybe 5 or 6 years ago that we first started this relationship with this eye tracking company. I think we've done a great job there, and we continue to look at ways to partner with that company to make the technology more available across the board. So it's not just the higher end gaming systems, and to make it available to all price ranges of products, and so that it becomes just a normal day-to-day use for the customers. We are actively working towards that. That is definitely a very strong desire in our organization. I've also seen there's a lot of science and development that goes into the keyboards for gaming, even for the consumer side and the commercial side, probably a lot more than the average customer realizes. Intensive workshops with usability and with engineering. Several PhDs are involved throughout the entire process. It is a very detailed, very defined process to make sure that we always have the right spacing on the keys, the right shape of the keys, the right feedback, the right travel, the right force. There is really a lot of engineering that goes into providing these different experiences that vary as the type of product changes. If it's a very thin, very light, ultra book kind of device, or a thicker, more commercial workstation or like gaming workbook kind of device. So I know that we've always worked very hard to make sure that our the keyboard technology and the interface with the mouse and the keyboard combination and programmable keys and function keys. We've always worked very hard to make sure that we have the best in the market. We do a ton of competitive analysis, and we see a lot of stuff that we would just not settle for, that we know that our users would not settle for because we wouldn't want to do it ourselves. Of course, we have a lot of gamers in our gaming development community, and some of us aren't gamers, but we really enjoy the high performance aspect, and we really appreciate the usability and the ergonomics and the design time and engineering that goes into that. One aspect I want to see us to continue to work on is beyond eye tracking, other methods for improving ability to streamline input for people with different abilities that have trouble typing, that have trouble even using their eyes for tracking, that may be visually impaired. We are starting some discussions on the side that I can't talk about right now, but I really want to see that continue. And I think if we make something come out of this, it's going to change. It's going to change a lot. It's going to change the game. So I'm really looking forward to focusing more on making it easier for everybody, and not just people with slightly decreased mobility or slightly impaired. This is targeting a much greater severely disabled and to the not disabled at all. It's really going to broaden that spectrum in how we interface with our products, gaming or otherwise, on a daily basis.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And to build on that, I'm curious, what do you feel like the future needs more of in particular development? So for instance, you've kind of hinted a little bit what you miss, what you're looking forward to. I'm curious, is there certain technologies or the way how certain user experiences that you feel like if there's a magic wand and like everything is fixable and creatable? I know certain things you're already developing, so, excluding those, something that doesn't exist that you hope that you feel like somebody needs to absolutely address this, or I hope that these are one of the things that we discuss and Liberate. We'll be curious to hear your thoughts.
I think that one of the things that we're just now starting to work on is it will capture so much of that. It's hard to describe without talking too much about it. I think this is going to be a paradigm shift in the way the world interfaces with computers. Beyond that, I would just like to see a global outward message from all major manufacturers of products of enablement and accessibility, so that it's not just about the aesthetics, that it's not just about awards. This is an award-winning product. This is beautiful to look at. We need to focus on the actual ergonomics and the actual usability, not usability in the sense that, okay, only for this group or this impaired or this disability or this different ability, but usability and accessibility across the board to make it easy for humans of all shapes and sizes to use products, to have access to tech products of all types, not just PC, not just notebooks, not just computers, but across the board and across the globe is this outward message of enablement and accessibility for all. Absolutely.
Hmm. Anything that I didn't ask that you want to share your thoughts?
Like you said, I'm in a very great position here. This is a very opportune position for me in that I just happen to be in this role that I can impact product design, and that I understand the process, that I can go about it. If I have an idea, I know how to execute that idea. I know how to develop patents. I know how to develop disclosures for those patents, and to bring ideas to the greater team and impact roadmap and impact product design. I think most people don't know how to do that. And I would love to encourage everyone to not hold those ideas back, to seek every workshop, like we're discussing, every workshop, every forum, every research study every possible path, reach out to everyone you can, make connections, and find a way to have your voice heard. Find a way to provide this feedback, because you will find that all major companies are looking for that feedback. We love customer feedback. We love data that helps us define problem statements, whether it's just these are the problems I have, or this is an idea I have. Either one would help us. We love receiving that information. So don't give up, don't stop. If even if you already work at a company like that and you don't know how to develop it, please reach out to anyone you can. Find the right people. We're starting forums internally to shop that out globally within Dell, to reach out to us, and we can walk you through that process. We can teach you how to develop a disclosure to submit to the patent committee and help you develop your idea without trying to get ourselves on the patent. We can just help you walk through that. So don't give up. Everybody really does want to hear that feedback. Just keep pushing, keep trying to get that message out, and you'll find someone like us that really wants to hear it and can really use it and care about it and do something about it.
Mm. And on that note, I wonder if you're willing to give the reverse message, maybe for those other engineers or somebody who might come across the video. What advice would you have to share who gets to be in the position to develop these products?
Mainly is not let an existing product. We all live by a process, a product process. To not let that existing process get in the way of creativity or bringing ideas like this that can increase accessibility, because you don't want to miss your schedule, or you don't have the budget, or you don't want your manager to shoot it down, is keep pushing, change your process, find a way outside of that process with another organization, another team within your company. There's always a way to bring a great idea to light. To just don't give up and don't get bogged down by process, to really step outside of that box and find a way.
Well, with that, thank you so much for taking the time for sharing. We look forward to seeing you at the conference and the innovation series, and look forward to having your input. So thank you so much for making the time.
No problem. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.